Welcome back to Build in Norfolk. I'm Emma Bennett, and today we're talking to someone who's been in the trenches of startup life, scaled businesses, and now helps others do the same, right here in Norfolk. I'm joined by Ryan Ruff, a serial entrepreneur and currently serving as our entrepreneur in residence for Invest Nebraska. He leads our Builder Bootcamp program and plays a critical role in guiding early stage founders through their startup journey. We'll dig into what it means to be an entrepreneur in residence in a rural ecosystem, how the Builder Bootcamp is helping founders go from idea to action, and what Ryan sees as the most exciting opportunities in tech entrepreneurship. Thanks for being here today, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. You want to give us a quick intro and talk a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, so I'm a serial entrepreneur. It's in my blood. It's something that, my grandfather always worked for himself. My father always worked for himself. All of my uncles and aunts, pretty much all of them all worked for themselves. So nice. I don't know much different. It's been in my blood.
I love that. What's the first thing you remember, like your first product, your first sale? Do you ever remember that?
Yeah. I think the first meaningful one was when I was like 13 or 14. Yeah, I must have been 12. I think I was 12. And we were trying to raise money for Scout Camp. And so we were going around selling Christmas greenery, and I just went ham on it. I went crazy and just kept selling and selling and selling. Not only did I make enough to cover my trip, I made enough to cover our whole troops trip for 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say I give props. Like any kid that actually comes out to our house and tries to sell us something for a fundraiser, I'm like, I'll buy anything. You're here. You're actually doing it. Like, I'm going to give you credit for this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, it was crazy.
Fantastic.
I mean, I was 12 and my mom was just like following behind me. She's like, I'll go out as long as you want. And like, we were out till dark for like 2 weeks straight. I think I did like 30K worth of like sales.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
Just greenery.
Christmas green, like wreaths and garlands, all that stuff. It was all real stuff. So this was when I was living in Northern California, and they all brought it in fresh. So like the whole troop had to like go like deliver all the stuff that I had done. It was insane.
So you sold it and then had to deliver it. No, I remember we didn't have that nice of stuff to sell. Like we had cookie dough, which again, not bad, but it's not something that you can actually be like, this is useful for you.
Yeah.
Not that cookies aren't useful.
But that was a good crucible. That was a good learning experience for me, and I've been hooked on sales and entrepreneurship ever since.
Talk to me a little bit about your first big company, or like the story behind some of your ventures there, like what you started, why you started them, where your passions were.
Yeah, I think for me, I've always cared more about the passion and, what can I do to make something good that's valuable, that makes this world a better place. That's like been my main motive. And then how to make money on that has been something, on the side. So for me, the big thing that was the thing that I became most proud of that I did, it was a company called SpendPal. And what it is it nudges you into naturally making smarter spending decisions using little behavioral psychology tricks, so you don't have to stick to a budget. And that was interesting for me because it was a really, really tough problem to solve. Right now, even today, 3 out of 4 people don't stick to a budget. And originally, like when I was asking around to all the gurus and stuff that I had access to, they're like, oh, it's all about discipline. People just need to have discipline and they need to do it. But I had clients when I was working for my dad's company that were doctors and they were lawyers and they were high income earners, disciplined people who had gone through medical school and law school. I mean, these were disciplined people. None of them were able to stick to a budget. So I was like, I don't think this is a discipline issue. This is like, there's something else at play here. And I just dug in and just ate, slept, drank everything, budgeting and why budgeting sucks. And then I eventually came up with, there's this way that you can manage your money where you don't have to stick to a budget, and you can use behavioral psychology nudges to nudge you into naturally spending smarter. So for me, it was more about how can I really add value in this space where there's a big problem, and then how can we make money is like the second thing.
I love that. And we talked to Dustin earlier today, and we talk with founders all the time of like solving a problem versus just building a solution first. And so it's always good to hear and reinforces that, theology of, build the solve the problem instead of just build the solution that maybe nobody has the problem for. So, with your background, you're a perfect fit for an entrepreneur in residence. So talk to me a little bit about what that means, and I can talk you through it too. But, as we as an Invest Nebraska, as we looked at the programming we wanted to build in Norfolk and what we wanted to do in rural communities, we wanted to follow kind of Brad Feld's methodology of like having founders and having startups lead that initiative. And so one way we do that is through our entrepreneurs in residence. So talk to me a little bit about that, what that means to you, and what you're working on with that. Yeah,
well, I mean, the underlying thing, I'm a little bit crazy, right? There's a lot of people think that most people think that entrepreneurship is something that a subset of people do or want to do, right? I have a different opinion, and I understand everyone else disagrees with me, but I have an opinion that everyone is an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And what I define as an entrepreneur is someone who's interested in finding solutions to problems, right? Mm-hmm. An entrepreneur, like as far as I think people get scared or nervous or have low risk tolerance for, I don't want to go throw a bunch of money at some idea that's going to fail, or I don't want to be a manager or a boss and manage people. I like the safety of my job, right? Mm-hmm. Those are all fine. You can still be an entrepreneur at heart if you like doing puzzles, right? Mm-hmm. A puzzle is solving a problem, right? So for me, the underlying foundation of what we're doing here is helping people tap into their inner entrepreneur, their love for solving problems around something that they're passionate about. And there are ways that you can tap into that, and for just 3 or 4 hours a week, hone your skill of solving problems and validating ideas in a way where you're not spending more than $20 a month, $40 a month, right? And you can do this on the side and slowly work your way into creating a business or something of value that could replace your current income.
Right. I think something that I'm really passionate about, obviously it's in my job too, but bringing some of those resources and that education and awareness to people who maybe don't identify as an entrepreneur. I think we see that a ton in rural communities of, well, I just did this to solve the problem. Well, right, you solved the problem. So is there a possibility of making that into a real business, into a thing? So talk about that maybe with the lens of the rural community piece of it and how that's beneficial to where we are physically too.
Yeah. If you want to start a business and you are in downtown San Francisco or you're in New York, good luck. I mean, honestly, you're up against some really, really stiff competition. You go talk to an investor there, and the 2 meetings they had before you were people who had $100 million exits before, and now they're looking for their third check, right? Mm-hmm. And then also, your rent is like you're trying to rent a little studio and you're paying $4,000 a month, right? Right. We have an incredible advantage that a lot of people don't realize, and that is that it doesn't cost nearly as much to live out here, right? And we have access to all kinds of wildlife and fun things to do to disconnect and go out and run when it's like frustrating and it's hard. You can go out and disconnect, right? Mm-hmm. But the other thing that's interesting is there are people out here that are hungry to help you, and it's that whole idea of being a big fish in a small pond, right? Because this is a smaller pond. We're a rural area, and there is opportunities if you look out there for a few big fish to come take you under their wing and help you to build your business.
Yeah, and kind of leaning on some of the background knowledge here, but you're not from here. You ended up here, but how has that, I mean, you have, like you said, you have really good experience of what maybe coastal startup ecosystems look like to what rural communities have and what we have here. So I think that's really important to understand that there are those people out there. If you could say anything to our community, maybe people who don't identify as a founder or who don't think of themselves as a startup founder or even a supporter in our ecosystem, what would you encourage them to do?
What I would encourage them to do is just come out and participate in some of our fun events. I mean, we have really cool events. There's other entrepreneurs that need you to come and be in the audience and give them feedback and come and talk to them and encourage them. And there's something you can learn from it, right? It's just like anything, like when you go to the gym and you're flexing your muscles and you're working out and you're building those muscles, there's things that you can do to build your mind and learn how to be a better, innovative person. And even if you don't ever become an entrepreneur, if you're flexing these muscles and you're learning how to solve problems, you'll become a better employee. And maybe this is the difference that makes to get that raise or that promotion, because you were able to solve a problem internally at your job because you've been working on these skills. So I think this is a very valuable thing, whether you're a supporter, whether you're going to be an entrepreneur, whether you want to be a mentor or an advisor. There's room for everyone here, and we just want to have you come out and experience it.
Yeah, I love that. Let's move that then perfectly into kind of the big thing you're working on now. So our Builder Bootcamp, the curriculum, all the things, even what you're building too, to support that. So what was that created for, and how was that curriculum? Like, where did we start with that? Talk about that.
Yeah, this is, decades of failure and running into doing the wrong things and figuring out, okay, well, what can we do to help our community avoid some of the stupid mistakes that I've made and that I've seen other entrepreneurs make? And, broadly, there's this concept of lean startup. And this concept of lean startup is, how can we build something and de-risk it for the least amount of money as possible, as quickly as possible, so we don't end up wasting a ton of time or money on something that's not going to work, right? And so we've taken all of these lessons from the lean startup technology, and then also from some of these accelerator programs that I've been through and mentors and things. And I've seen startup founders that make mistakes and end up spending a year to 2 years building something that they probably shouldn't have. So what we've done with this curriculum is we've kind of put entrepreneurship on bumpers, right? Like if you go, this is the bumper lane version of starting a company that makes it so that you can really easily start throwing strikes, and it's not going to cost you a ton of time or energy. It's more of like, hey, this is a hobby. Maybe I can make a little bit of money with this, and I'm not going to risk my own capital to do this. Yeah,
I think even the people we've talked to, that I talk to in my conversations with founders, or people who have an idea, getting over that risk is huge. I think the number one problem people have is they don't think they can do it. And the number two is they don't want to spend money on it. They're scared to spend money on it. And I think people don't understand the resources we have. I think it's Hunter who quotes all the time, like, you can learn from wisdom and you can learn from pain. And you might as well take advantage of learning from that wisdom. You want to take advantage of that. You have so much of that experience. So I think it's something people really it's just to take advantage of it, like, it's just really good. I'm not saying that just because I know it and I see it, but it's a really good curriculum. And I love that analogy of it being on bumpers.
A fun little anecdote. Yeah. I had a student the other day who had come in and he'd gone through, I think he was like on the second stage, and he was just, his mind was blown. He's like, I've never thought about, running companies this way. And he's like, wait a second now. So like, all of this training is free. I get to come here and experience all this. I'm not having to pay anything. And at the time we were running a promotion where if they completed all the steps and did the right things, that there was a $500 credit that they would get towards building their MVP. He's like, and I'm going to get paid for this? He's like, I'm going to get $500. He's like, how are you guys making money? But it's just so much value that people just don't know about, and they're just floored by it, right? So yeah, it's a fun thing, and it's, people don't know what they don't know, but if you come out, you'll find out.
Right. I don't know if this has anything to do with some of the behavioral classes you and information you've been able to go through, but Can you talk about the benefit of having like that hands-on guidance, the tools, and that structured process of like helping people stick to something? You know, it's not quite personal finance, but it is still bringing in spending 3 to 4 hours a week working on a project. Talk about that a little.
Oh, I could talk for days on this stuff. This stuff is really, really fun, but what we're talking about there's an element of social proof, right? Where it's like people want to fit in, whether it's your church, whether it's your school, whether it's, whatever community it is, there's strength in being part of a community. The way Jim Rohn put it, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, right? The way Scott Henderson down in Lincoln, he always says, great trees never grow alone, right? Yeah. So we're creating a version of that here too, where you're part of a cohort and you can come out on Tuesdays or Thursday nights and you see other people building and it gets that buzz going. And then we also employ some things where we help you teach other people in the cohort some of the principles. And if I have to go out and teach somebody about how to go get evangelists to help validate their idea, guess what I'm going to go do?
I'm going to learn it.
I'm going to go out and do it myself because I'm telling this person, here's how you do it, right? So by employing some of these things, we can create an environment where your natural instincts is to just push forward, and you're feeling like there's this inertia pushing you forward. And so it makes it a lot easier to be successful when you see others around you doing these things.
Absolutely. Would you have gone through this course, this boot camp, when you started, if you could start back over?
If I could start back over, I would love this.
Yeah. That's awesome. Are there any other like standouts or stories, even some breakthroughs from some of the students or participants that are not necessarily students, but participants in the program?
Yeah. I mean, we've had some great ones. You were talking about Dustin earlier. What a incredible product that he's building and an incredible mission. I mean, if you're talking about something that is going to be impactful for a community and do good, I mean, what he's doing with Museum Go and his art passport is just, I'm so excited about that because I do resonate with the idea that we've lost our third spaces.
Right.
It used to be churches. A lot of people used to be religious. A lot of people have left religion, and it's not like they left religion and then went to this other thing. Everybody just they kind of did. They went to TikTok and Facebook, right?
Right.
And it's something where people can get stuck in doom scrolling and in these online echo chambers where with what he's doing with bringing this art centers and these kinds of spaces as a third space where someone with blue hair can get together with someone, with their cowboy hat on and still enjoy art together and, not feel like you're the other side, right? If we can foster community in third spaces like that, I think it's an incredible thing. So, Dustin's doing some great stuff. Coach Command's doing some amazing stuff. We have a lot of really, really cool things being built. RV Rangers is kind of like this Uber style app, but it's for RV owners to connect with mechanics, RV mechanics. And like the things we're doing are going to make the community a better place. And we're helping to promote the ecosystem, the economic system here as well.
True. Very true. Kind of leaning into, I wouldn't say we definitely don't screen people and only require them to have like a passion filled, solution or whatever, it's not like that's a requirement, but it seems like that's very consistent. What is something you see consistently with some of our founders? Is it, with those ideas that work or that would keep them going? Is there a consistent theme you see on that?
Yeah, I mean, there is in each stage, there's some. But if I was going to say across all the stages, I think the most interesting thing is the hardest thing is getting started on what you don't know and it's just, someone once told me, and I did this for running, right? And for exercise, it's like, if I convince myself I need to just run 100 yards every day, that's easy to do, right? Like anyone can do 100 yards, right? And if you just set yourself up like, okay, I can do this 100 yards, and then you get to the end of the 100 yards, it's like, well, I can go a little bit further. But what I'm seeing with a lot of these founders is they just don't know what they need to do. And then if we can point them in the right direction and get them started and get them over that hump of that learning curve and they're doing something new, they're like, wow, this is actually fun. And they just explode. Like some of the stuff that these guys have built, it's insane.
Well, and it's also inspiring. I mean, I talked to Dustin, it's like 2 weeks ago now when he started his passport app. And immediately after I talked to him, I spent 45 minutes building something of my own in Replit. I'm like, I wouldn't have done that. I've spent $0. I need to fine tune it and finish it, but it's a tool, and it's that inspiration. I feel like very much the same of training to run. Yeah. Running groups. Like, God, if I have to convince myself to run, it's a lot harder than if I'm like, well, Sally's waiting for me to run too. So
that's that social proof again.
It really is. So, you kind of talked about having that piece. Is there anything you look for in founders, like a personality trait, or is there anything you kind of encourage them to develop as you're working with them?
I know that's kind of something you're excited about. I do. You love that. I don't. What I want to do is just kind of see where they naturally gravitate towards, right? And so I think in a way we're both kind of driving at the same thing. You have your little survey thing that they take, which is helpful in kind of signaling where they can go. But for me, I want them to kind of naturally gravitate to where they want to be, because at the end of the day, if it's going to become a successful business, you're not going to be able to do it all alone, right? And so if you're more business minded, you're going to have to hire someone who's more technical minded to do certain things. If you're more technical minded, then you're going to have to hire someone more business minded, right? So wherever they land, the other spots are all going to need to be filled with other people anyway. So I don't really mind where they land. Where I see problems sometimes is where if people are trying to start something and there's 2 or 3 people and they all have the exact same skill sets and they're kind of overlapping on each other, that's one thing I try to say, hey, maybe we all should kind of do our own thing. Right. Because our skill sets are too overlapping here and we need complementary skill sets. The good thing is there's lots of opportunities right now. With AI out there, pretty much everything can be reinvented and done in a better way with some sort of AI element to it implemented in. And so there's more opportunities than you can shake a stick at right now. So everybody can kind of be working on their own thing. And then once it starts to get traction, they can start bringing in other community members that have different skill sets to build a team.
That's awesome. And that makes total sense. It leads right into the next question I have is like, do you think that there's much of a difference or what's the difference between like, I have an idea and I want this to be a business? Like, is there a difference to you in that, or how would you overcome that? I feel like I talk to so many people who are like, well, I have this idea, but I don't think it's really a business. How do you overcome that?
Yeah. I would say, let's focus on, I have the idea. And I would even say, let's not focus on I have the idea. Let's focus on what is the underlying problem that we're solving here and really narrow in on that. And then let's try to figure out what the most elegant solution is for that. And there's a number of ways we can do that through getting feedback from other people who identify with that problem. I think people put way too much emphasis on how do I turn this into a business way too early.
For sure.
Because at the end of the day, this used to be a problem. I would say like pre-internet, it was a problem, or even in the early stages of the internet and everything. You could build something that was a solution, but how are you going to monetize this? It was a hard question. But now that everyone has a smartphone in their pocket and everyone's connected at all times to the internet, finding a community of people that have the problem that you're solving is easier than it's ever been.
True.
You show me something that is a better solution to a problem, we're going to find a way to monetize that. Like if you're, even if it's a small subset of people doing something really strange, there's probably enough people on this planet that have that problem that we could monetize it. And so I would rather you focus on finding elegant solutions to a problem. And if you've found that, we can brainstorm together a good way to turn it into a business. That's going to be easy.
Yeah, I love that. It is, and I think it's true. It's having that idea, solving that problem. That's where we kind of start everybody at. What are some tools or trends, like AI, but mostly tools that really make rural innovation more accessible to people, make this type of entrepreneurship more accessible?
Yeah, I mean, more accessible is an understatement. I mean, absolutely accessible where it was like not even possible before is tools like video conferencing and stuff, especially post-COVID, right? Like before COVID, like you could hop on Zoom meetings or Google Meet and it was kind of like people would do it if they had to. But now it's like, it's almost like there's so many people they're just on Zoom meetings all day long and they're used to it now. So with those kinds of technologies, I can be getting advice from a mentor in New York. And then my very next meeting is someone from Los Angeles that I'm getting advice from. And because all you need is access to the internet for that to work, we now can do that. It changes the math. And these rural places are in a lot of ways better than the coast now for building a startup. So that's one. Obviously, AI cannot be understated. It's incredible what it can be done or what can be done with it. But there's a lot of people who just don't know what they don't know. And so if we can kind of brainstorm together and get connected to other people who have used it for similar use cases and we see that, we can kind of stand on their shoulders to come up, instead of having to figure it all out from ground zero, we can say, oh, well, so-and-so did that in that space. I could do the same thing and I just add this widget and now all of a sudden it works for my solution.
Yeah, absolutely. To close this out, let's talk a little bit about the momentum that we've got going here, in Norfolk, rural communities, and what makes those rural areas a strategic place to start their companies.
Yeah, we've got some momentum. We've got people coming out Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and we're looking at even opening up more opportunities, but there's just a buzz going on, and we're just looking for more people to come catch the wave.
I love it. We don't have a ton of surfing here, but we have the river.
Yeah,
surfing,
we do. I've surfed on it. It's fun.
See, there you go. What more do you need? No, I love it. I think we could talk, and we probably will talk again about really diving into some of those core principles of the boot camp, because it's an endless conversation and something both of us really enjoy talking about. So I want to thank you for being on today, and thanks for everything you do to support founders in this community. If you're listening to this and you have an idea, a product, or just a gut feeling that you want to build, check out our Builder Bootcamp program, or just stop into the co-working space. You don't have to do it alone. That's the best part. We're here to support you. So if you're listening, make sure to subscribe to Build in Norfolk and keep following along as we highlight more founders, mentors, and change makers shaping the future of rural entrepreneurship.
Let's go.
Boom.